and agents. Permittee agrees to indemnify and hold the town, its officers, officials, etc., agents harmless against any liability for property damage, personal injury, or death related to or arising from the use of the watershed under this permit. Permittee must exercise caution, act in a safe and reasonable manner at all times. All participants are strongly encouraged to learn chainsaw safety skills and wear proper protective clothing and equipment, chainsaw chaps, boots, gloves, hard hat, hearing protection, eye protection while operating a chainsaw. And then it goes on to state, if failure to obey or follow any policies and procedures stated herein may result in the revocation of a permit, and then the town reserves the right to ban them from obtaining another permit. And they're responsible for any and all damage to private or public property, personal injury, or death from intentional conduct or negligence.
Do you have any questions,
I do.
Mr. Buckman?
So, the permit is free, I'm happy about that. You get a permit and you could use it for that time frame that, the window? The whole
Right,
window?
for one calendar year, so June 1st, October, or August 31st.
And then is that time frame because that's when, I'm not a hunter, that's when people aren't hunting?
Well, you do have hunting season start, but the main reason, and we looked at, again, Frederick City's policy and then recommendations from the Forest Service and DNR, the ground begins to get wetter as you get into fall and winter, and then you're going to see a lot of damage to the ground. But the main concern would be then the sedimentation that gets into the water as the ground becomes more disturbed.
And then one more question. Why can't I use an ATV if I want to go in there to haul out wood?
Because you're going to damage town property and you're going to disturb the land, and then you're going to have sedimentation runoff. You can't ride it through you're not going to ride it through the forest, and you have the trails through there, damages that might occur. One thing I forgot to add, and I'm sorry, if this is approved, it's strongly encouraged that the town needs to hire a surveyor and have that area flagged, which will be an additional cost that we would get estimates for, to protect not only town property, but private property.
No, I've driven an ATV before and it never upset the ground.
I'm sorry.
If I
I rode
a-
four-wheelers and three-wheelers my whole life, and it
If
does
I
disturb the ground.
drive it like I really fast or I'm careless with it.
You're opening up a whole nother can of worms by allowing, I strongly encourage you not to allow ATVs. Frederick City does not allow them. DNR strongly discourages it. We don't allow them to ride it anywhere else on town property through any of the trails. It's not allowed in parks anyway.
Well, what it is when you have a whole bunch of firewood and you can pile a lot on it. If you have a cart behind, it becomes very heavy and it's going to end up
Oh,
tearing
and
the
then
ground
it
up
goes into it,
because it
okay.
won't be able to pull it. Very good. That's probably why they don't allow it.
Mr. Sweeney, do you want to?
Mr. O'Donnell?
Do we want to hear public comment before we discuss
Well,
further, or?
I was going to get to him after you guys
Okay.
was all.
Okay.
I know that Mr. Waller wants to speak on it, but I'm going to finish with us first and then let him speak.
Okay.
Just in case anybody had a question for him, or he might have a question for them. Are you done? Mr. Ritz?
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Is Commissioner Buckman finished?
I'm done, thank you.
And not. What is the purpose of this policy?
That was
Other than
request-
clearing out the wood, but there's got to be a reason.
I thought it was a benefit to the people of the town, as what Tim brought up back in
Wait a
the
minute.
As the person
Mr.
who
O'Donnell?
brought this forward, thank you, Mr. Sweeney. As the person who brought this forward, it was a request that came from a few individuals whose homes are heated singularly by wood. And they were wondering if a resource could be made available within our community that is available in other communities. It's a price point thing that they have available to them. And it seemed like it was an appropriate use of a resource in town that exists. It seems as if we set it up in an appropriate way and it's approved by the forester, and it seems to be so far, that it would be a benefit to the land as opposed to a harm to the land. So those were sort of the mitigating factors. But mostly it had been brought forward to my attention by individuals who are seeking to have the ability to draw fuel for their homes from town resources, who I would argue desperately need this opportunity.
And said individuals only live in the town of Emmitsburg.
That is correct.
Do not have access to firewood on a regular basis.
Yes, so much so that I know that
Most of it pay.
they receive charitable giving
Okay.
of literally of firewood. I know that from firsthand experience.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sweeney, is it okay if I
Yeah,
put
well,
forward,
I can-
or
I know, wood costs a lot. I don't know how much, I don't know how they say it, a cord? Is it a cord? I don't use wood to burn with, but I know a lot of people who do. It's very expensive. I think it's going up every year. Most of the people who'll be using this probably can't afford the wood to pay for it. They try to save money as much where they can, because they got to carry it all out and do it. It's all handwork. So, they'll do that in the summertime to prepare for the winter, because they probably won't use it in the summertime. It helps keep our forest healthy, because we're going to be clearing out all the dead. It allows new trees and stuff to grow
Okay.
in its place, or new plantings can be done in its place if the logs and stuff are moved out of the way. And you can look at it that way too.
And then
Donald?
the other areas that we're having logged out, so to speak, where we're getting paid the money, then I'm just wondering where we could tie that together, but I guess not. It's sort of the same premise in the sense that we're clearing out trees that we don't need.
I think
Well, these are
they're
strictly
cutting
ones that are
trees down.
downed. For firewood, it would only be the ones that are already down.
Yeah,
or
they're
dead.
taking the trees down.
Okay.
The forestry people will be taking trees down that are standing.
that have a higher market value also?
Yeah.
Well, granted, yeah,
So that kind of makes sense. So,
ready to burn this way.
correct.
All right.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Thank you, sir. My hope is to see two modifications. I think this is very comprehensive and very well put together. Thank you, staff, for doing this. I'm looking at page 1 of 2 in the document, where it says off-road equipment. I might suggest we look at adding the term motorized off-road equipment may not be used, or vehicles may not be used to remove firewood, and that a person can use off-road equipment, like specifically an off-road wheelbarrow. There are such things that's not motorized. It's got heavier duty tires. It's designed to be hauled through the woods, for pulling firewood, quite literally. So if we could say we don't want to have motorized off-road equipment by that bullet point, if you guys would consider that. The second thing I would ask is the third bullet point from the bottom of the page. It states, all brush and other debris which the permittee causes to be deposited, placed, or left on roadways, ditch lines, and streams shall be removed, and so on. I would ask that we could add, because there are areas where there are trails near there, that we say, placed or left on roadways, ditch lines, trails, and streams shall be removed. So just so we have protection for the trails in that sense. And those would be the only modifications I would ask for.
I agree with both of those. Good idea.
Is staff okay with those modifications?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Ritz?
Not at this time, no. Thank you.
Commissioner Blanchard?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Buckman? I don't have any either. So we need to do yes, Commissioner Blanchard. Oh. Mr. Waller, I'm sorry. Come up. We'll hear you speak. I want to get them done with the discussion before we vote anything in, and then we can hear from you before we vote.
Come on
Yeah,
up.
come on up. And give your name and address.
I'm Jack Weller. I live up on Hampton Valley Road, right where you're talking about,
Okay.
right near the lake. And this is the first time I've seen this draft, so I'm kind of new at this, so I haven't seen it before tonight. And I just had a few things, since I'm not a town resident, and I can't be because I live out there. I was wondering if you could modify it so that somebody that had an Emmitsburg address could get the wood. That was,
I think it's 21727 address, correct?
The way
It's a
it's,
resident of the town of Emmitsburg is the way that it's
The
written.
municipality.
why I was asking that.
since it's town-owned property. That's the way it's written. I mean, it's up to the board.
I think it should be 21727 number for Emmitsburg community itself. Because a lot of people in town don't burn wood, but there's a lot of people on the outside of our town limits that do. Commissioner Ritz?
Well, yeah, I mean, granted, up where Mr. Weller lives, there's ample wood, but I'm thinking just outside of town limits. I mean, it's still
Emmitsburg.
Emmitsburg,
Right.
right? you
That's
know.
why I said 21727
Yeah.
zip code area.
You only allow town residents to hunt. That's why we wrote it this way. That's why it was written that way. It's a board decision.
They still have to come in and get the permit and everything, correct? And they have to show their
Correct.
address.
We need to
So you
Correct.
would know if they were Emmitsburg zip code.
Right.
It's up to you guys. My feeling is it's 21727 area. You know, for us to clear all the dead out, and if they're gonna use the word to burn, they're not gonna, you know, they have to go by the same permit.
How many households do you think might take advantage of this, like to use this opportunity?
Well, I'm just by what do you want to call it? Looking around and seeing who's burning wood and who. There's a good many
Right.
on like down on the Crystal Fountain Road and a number of them are on Hampton Valley. Live down below where we live.
I mean, you only have a small resource there to. I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
So I think the concern is because if it's a municipality,
Feel good.
we're paying taxes, which is
Please feel
helping the
better.
administrative fees,
Excuse me,
right?
I'm gonna leave you at this moment.
Oh, you're leaving?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty. See you later. Go ahead.
So, I don't know if you heard me, but what I was saying is that if you're in the municipality, you're paying taxes to the municipality. So that's helping with the administrative fees, which there aren't any fees for this. What if we were to put like a small $10 fee for people who are not in the municipality to cover the administrative fees?
Staff would be amenable to that.
Is that something that would be agreeable?
Yeah, I'd be fine.
I do have a question, for staff. The fishing license and stuff like that, do you have to live in town of Emmitsburg?
No, fishing is state of Maryland, because
But
it's
the
stocked,
fish and
because
arrow-
the fish
So we
is
just
stocked by
represent-
DNR. But hunting is town.
Only for people who live in the town itself can hunt on,
Yes.
or is it the town?
I'm drawing a blank.
I
That
think it
is
might be,
true.
I think it might be the 27.
It's just town, right, Maddie? Can you remember off the top of your head?
I think it might be. the-
Hunting. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
If it's town property, I think it's just town.
So when I do them, I just look to see if it has 2177 Emmitsburg.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
okay.
That's what it is.
It's a zip
I'm
code.
pretty, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure, because I don't hunt or fish or that, but I'm pretty sure it's the 21727 area. Because there's not a lot of people in the town itself that hunts, a lot of people in the Emmitsburg out of town limits that does all the hunting and the fishing. Mr. Ritz,
So, Mr. Weller, you have no concern over this policy. You're more concerned that it's restricted to residents of the town limits. You'd be happier if it would have
include the
included anyone in the 21727 zip code.
Yes.
Okay.
But that was one of my concerns, but I didn't see this policy till tonight.
Okay.
So that's what I was trying to get at. And I don't know if you all ever go up on the mountain, but there's a lot of wood comes down in the wintertime. And the county will put it somewheres, and you wonder, well, I wonder who's going to get that. And it sits there, and then you see guys from Pennsylvania, and I'm not saying it's all Pennsylvania people, but people that are definitely not from up that way taking that wood. And so that could be. So in other words, this policy thing would be pretty good because then it would say, I could just use an example. I could say, well, that's
take
been
it.
laying there for a week and had nobody else got it, so it's just sitting there. Why. So it make me feel more legal or less likely to have the policeman come up and say, what are you doing there?
Well, you'll have the permit in your window. And
Well,
you'll have
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And my other concern was about the off-road equipment. I really don't think you're going to get anybody that's not going to have a truck or something to get that wood. Personally, I have a tractor, and I don't use four-wheel drive stuff, but it just don't seem like it's practical when you're talking about using wheelbarrows and stuff for heavy wood.
Restrictive.
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't
that's
carry it
actually
out.
that's actually the idea behind it, is to restrict it. We don't want people, because what the concern would be is if it's opened up to mechanized harvesting, we'll call it, for lack of a better description, it allows someone the capacity to go deeper in. And by limiting it to the 100 feet and doing it by hand, there's meeting the need of the individual who has that immediate need. So we're not creating an industry for someone who's feeling entrepreneurial. The other part is to be on that land, for the trails to have gone in there, and I'll speak on that side, we had to go through all sorts of DNR, NEPA reviews, EPA reviews, all sorts of wildlife management, flora and fauna accredited quantification. So there's a sensitive nature to the land. And I know it seems very extreme, but the reality is if we say mechanized vehicles, it changes the whole nature of the operation. And that's what the concern is. I want to say that, when the trails are out there, that there are no mechanized vehicles out there. I guarantee you I see evidence of mechanized vehicles on the trails. And it's posted very clearly, no motorized vehicles, but it does happen. So I don't think it's to our advantage as decision makers on this issue to allow motorized vehicles. I mean, the whole idea of the hand carry piece is to hand carry. It's the least disturbance, but it provides the most access within that 100 feet.
Right, in any of the policies that we looked at, none allowed motorized vehicles. And as you stated, we don't allow motorized vehicles on any of town property, town parks, the watershed, things of that nature. And you're only talking 100 feet. It's not 100 yards. And you're absolutely right, and that's why it's encouraged it. It is the erosion and the sediment that is a big concern of DNR. And I'll be honest with you, the DNR and Forest Service are totally against this. They did not support it. For that very reason, because of the damages and the sediment and the erosion control. And then Frederick City had a lot of problems with it initially. They lost a lot of timber. They made their policy very restrictive then, to kind of keep that from happening.
I still think human nature, not to be negative, but we opened up the policy. Great, you can do it. I think human nature is going to, what's the easiest way for me to get this out of here? I know 100 feet, but still, I mean, that could be a ways to make multiple trips with a wheelbarrow. If a truck can easily be backed in there, someone's going to do it. And
other part is
who's going to stop them?
A truck's not easily gotten in there, given the slopes you're dealing with and given the water flow over the land. No,
There's some spots.
Sure, if you have the right vehicle with the right tires and all that, you can go anywhere. But there's also, a narrow band, because there is so much growth up there. Trust me, it will happen even if we say no. Mm-hmm. But I think it's in our best interest to
Not have it.
to not allow it at this time. And the other thing I would say, if there's a lack of comfort with allowing folks in the 21727 to have that access, I would suggest maybe we pilot it with the understanding we come back and review this policy 1 year later and say, did we find this was abused, or did we find this was respected? And that way we have recourse on it. But the other part is, it's the sort of thing like, once you open the door, you open the door. Mm-hmm. So, just thoughts on it.
Okay.
So that way we could allow the opportunity for, 21727 to have access, but at the same time, we're setting up some very concrete boundaries.
I'm for no mechanized vehicles, but I am for opening it up to our zip code.
21727.
Sure.
And we did confirm that hunting is 21727.
Yes, hunting
Okay,
is.
that fits then, sure.
So we need to modify that in this
Which part?
The
21727
Yes.
number.
It would be
Yes.
both the policy and procedure,
I think we're okay.
right?
Where are you on the mountain? Where are you on Hampton Valley?
The resolution.
Where am I at?
Yeah.
This way's the road going. Which way, is this way down?
That's going,
To the right takes
to
you
the
toward
right to
and
town.
downhill. To the left takes you up to,
Private residence right there that's not owned by anybody, right before the lake.
sure,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I think I met your son-in-law. He's a writer? No?
No, don't believe.
No, okay, all right. Maybe it's your neighbor's son-in-law. All right.
He does other stuff, he's not a writer. Thank you.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you,
Oh,
sir.
thank you.
We appreciate when people come in.
So, how did you see this?
Just now.
I mean, how did you know we were having it?
Oh, okay. Back in July, there was a tree came down across Hampton Valley Road and up above the lake, whichever way that is, up above the lake. I'm going up the hill past the lake on the right, and the county, I guess, pushed it off to the side, and I saw it there, and I thought, well, we're here and asked them, the town, if I could have it, and they said yes, and so then that was in July, and then I guess it was a little bit later than that. There was another. If you're all familiar with the hanging tree, where that's at, where the sawmill used to
Yeah,
be. Anyway, a limb come off of that, and a lot of and I saw it there, and it's right there in front of me almost. And so I asked about cutting that up, and that's when when Maddie told me that you were having a permit thing or a proposal going on, and that's why I come in tonight.
All right, I was wondering where you seen it at for
Yeah,
advertisement and
this
stuff
is
like that.
like I say, the first time. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
We need to do these separately, correct? The resolution
Yes, to
and then
adopt the resolution and then adopt, well, you can adopt, I would adopt the policy first
Okay.
and then adopt your resolution.
Mr.
So-
President,
Yes, Mr. Ritz.
are we modifying the
Modifications.
resolution and the policy then to read residents of zip code 21727? As both are written out, it's residents of the town.
Yes.
I define residents of the town.
Well, what we can do is maybe put in parentheses zip code 21727 on each, the resolution and the policy, but we will amend it to say that it's inclusive of that zip code. I mean, essentially, you're still considered town of Emmitsburg residents. It's just kind of the wording, play on words, but we'll fix that so it's amendable to all.
Okay, so
Or if you
perhaps
have a
for
specific way you
consideration.
want it to read, you can direct staff.
Okay,
Mr. Ritz.
just for consideration, perhaps. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Emmitsburg and the Town of Emmitsburg Personal Use Firewood Policy Procedure, which is attached as resolution incorporated by reference herein and be hereby adopted. Okay, so if that's our determination that it's residents of the town, could we perhaps
Yes,
say
you know.
the Town of Emmitsburg and that the Town of Emmitsburg and residents of the 21727 zip code?
Are you doing the policy first?
I'd be looking
Just
at the resolution on page 18 of 24.
Okay.
That's the policy.
Resolution?
Oh, I see. Okay.
May you say, can you
Resolution.
say it one more time?
Sure.
Please.
I'm trying to understand if this is where it's,
It's, you're gonna find it in multiple places.
Oh, I
so
see,
I'll
I
just
see.
have to
Okay,
change
okay.
it.
So he just says with the
So-
modifications.
whereas in order to serve the purpose of the town desires to offer to residents of the Town of Emmitsburg and residents of the 21727 zip code, and try to have language accordingly,
Okay.
would that be satisfactory to the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be our modification?
And they'll change it throughout the policy and the resolution as we adopt it.
Yes.
So I need a motion for the policy number P19-04. Personal use of firework policy and procedures. They
Okay.
want us to do the policy first.
Sure. All right, so I want to make sure I have the name correct. I make a resolution to accept the firewood access policy as modified.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Blanchard. Is there any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries for the policy.
We're putting in there the trails also, like Tim suggested, and the motorized, okay.
Yes.
I assumed it was all the modifications.
Yeah, they're gonna put the motorized stuff in there too.
Okay.
Yes.
The term motorized and the term trail
Yes.
as discussed?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the resolution. What did I do with it?
Going backwards.
1824.
1824.
What?
My pages all mixed up. Okay, there it is. Resolution number 1902R.
Mr. Sweeney, I hate to be a stick in the mud, but I don't see where you're getting that designation.
About
That's
a
it.
quarter way down on page 18.
It's a quarter way down. Resolution number. I'm using the number that is going to be going
Understood.
by.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my apologies.
I'm sorry.
18-24, and it's page 18 of 24. I was like,
Okay.
That's the number that's going to be used in the book, right? Correct?
Yes.
You got this, Tim?
I need a motion for the resolution 1902-R.
Okay, I make a motion to accept resolution number 19-02R as modified.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Donald, second by Commissioner Ritz. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
With all modifications? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item, agenda number 3, approval of the North Seton Avenue Bridge letter.
That one we might need to dim the lights, you can't really see. I think it was a couple of meetings ago, we had discussions about the condition of the North Seton Avenue Bridge
Bad
at, in the area of Northgate, headed out of town. Knowing the history of the bridge and knowing that the mayor and previous manager have had meetings with State Highway over the safety and design of this bridge, we believe that to kind of get the initial ball rolling to get State Highway even to look at this bridge, that it would be most beneficial to send a letter to, and we have a list of who would like to send it to on page 22, a letter from not only the mayor, but the Board of Commissioners as well in support of State Highway taking a look at this bridge. We'd like to send a letter to Gregory Slater. He's with the MDOT, Michael J. Huff, who's Maryland State Senate, Daniel L. Cox, Maryland House of Delegates, Barry cannot pronounce his last name, Celebrity, Maryland House of Delegates, and Jesse T. Pippi, Maryland House of Delegates. The draft letter was written by the town planner, reviewed by myself and the mayor, and this was just a draft. I'll go ahead and read it. The town of Emmitsburg is committed to advancing the image, economy, and quality of life of our community that consists of approximately 3,150 residents. We have recently undertaken significant municipal infrastructure projects, which includes Town Square, Main Street, Seton Avenue revitalization project, increasing sidewalk connections, new state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant, a 2-megawatt solar field, and various other projects that promote accessibility, environmental sustainability, and safety. The purpose of this letter is to seek assistance in requesting the replacement of Maryland State Highway Administration-owned bridge number 1000100, which is located on the North Seton Avenue, U.S. Business 15. According to State Highway staff, this bridge was built in 1927, has never had any significant repairs, and is in fair condition. We have noticed that the 92-year-old bridge has gradually fallen into disrepair in the last several years. Most importantly, the bridge can no longer handle the flow of stormwater from the local streams. The bridge frequently floods during heavy periods of rain, which entraps the residents of the Northgate development. The mayor has previously met with local state highway representatives to express safety concerns of the bridge. In addition to increasing the safety of town residents and visitors, the replacement of this bridge could also lead to economic development. The bridge is located on the town's northern boundary. Improving accessibility to the northern part of the county could spark development, which would greatly contribute to the economies of Emmitsburg, Frederick County, and the state of Maryland. If you have any questions regarding this matter, please feel free to contact our town planner. I don't know if you can see right there. This is a large crack in the bridge. That would be on your north side of the bridge. I had two pictures. There's the other picture. And here you have also parts of it that are starting to fall apart. We thought this would just be the first step. As you know, the square revitalization project was discussed probably 3-4 years before it even came into fruition. So we'd like to at least to get people talking about this bridge and looking at it.
Especially since they're repairing all the bridges they can do.
Right.
Since they've been falling down. Also, when I was little, that's been a long time ago. All this, there's a lot of growth. A lot of the growth is what's holding all the water back too.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that needs to take it. The whole creeks. We used to ice skate the whole way down to Jubilee. You know, all the way down. It used to be open, but it's grown up so bad now you can't even see down through there. And that's what's holding all the water back, especially when it rains. And I don't know if we can get the engineers or the what do you call them, the
That's MD.
military engineers or anybody to come look and maybe have that cleaned. Yeah, I don't know
That
if they
all
have
falls
the
on the
dredger.
state, and I think that's why this initial letter is imperative to
Right.
start getting your voice heard, that, we need this to be taken seriously, because we've seen it, I've seen it, you've all seen it. When it floods,
It's bad.
you can't get
Yeah, it's
through,
bad.
and you do have people trapped.
Can we add to the letter,
Or maybe
clearing of?
if it's going to take 4 or 5 years to get it through, maybe they can clear some of the debris out in the meantime to help with the water flow
That's
situation.
what it says in here, the floods during periods of rain.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so much debris there. That's why.
What we'd
it's
like
a
to do is take some more pictures to attach with this letter to send along also.
If I was you, I'd take a picture of all that you can't see down through there and show them that you can't see where even the water's running through there.
It'd be nice to get a picture while it's flooding. There's probably one out there.
And the whole top of the bridge is falling off too. The cap part of it.
Did the
And
town? I'm
There's
sorry.
no sidewalk.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say-
Commissioner Ritz.
Commissioner Donald just was one thing I was going to say too. Obviously, I don't think we need to put it in the letter now unless we amend it. But given that we have all the other sidewalk connectivity, maybe for safety reasons, but have a sidewalk, some kind of walking path. Just interesting.
Well, if they redo the
moments
bridge,
I've seen
they'll
people
probably put one
almost
in.
getting hit on that bridge. The town limits, they end at the. So that'd be northeast, the eastern side of the bridge, right? Right before the Spike's Auto Body.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Sweeney, we thought they were going to put sidewalks in on the South Seton Avenue Bridge, right, if you recall,
Right.
and they didn't.
They didn't.
So we need to be specific with our language.
Well, yeah, when they get around to this one, we won't. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll be here.
I
but-
think it's definitely should be included in, if we can get them interested in even looking at this, I think it needs to be included in further discussions.
Well, there is a.
If they actually decide they want to do it.
And then
Especially since we have a couple businesses down there that we have a lot of walking traffic from town, from Fire Academy and college students and town residents who walk down to Rube's to eat, and they have to cross the bridge.
We have quite a few residents that have to bike over that bridge also.
and God knows no one goes the speed limit.
It's hard on that.
Yeah, we do have water services across on the other side of that bridge too, correct?
The North Seton.
Yeah. I mean, to the Spikes? Spikes has a water service?
Spikes has water and
So does
sewer
Rubes.
service.
And Rubes too?
No.
No,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought that Rubes had it also,
No.
I thought. But the only reason why I'm asking, since I seen the picture, I've forgotten all about it. The owner of Spikes did call me. He lives on West Main Street and said he thinks there's a water leak on the other side of the bridge there because it lays wet all the time, and it must be from the services on that side. I just wanted to let you know that
Okay.
before I forgot.
Okay.
You- I was just looking at it from the picture.
Is it okay to jump in?
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Riddle.
thank you. A modification for consideration in the letter in the opening line, just a thought. Our priorities are reflected here as our image, our economy, and our quality of life. Now, our image, we are good-looking people here in Emmitsburg, I know that, and we don't want to brag about that. So might I suggest we go with quality of life first, economy second, and image third?
What about safety?
I think that would fall under quality of life.
And we do, in paragraph 3, we talk about safety. And in actually the bottom of paragraph 1, safety as well.
So you want to change quality of life, just rotate the words around?
I would say quality of life, economy, and image.
Oh.
Like I said, we're good-looking people up here, but we don't want to brag, you know?
We just have bad bridges.
Just, we got to fix these bridges, I tell you what.
We have bridge baggage.
Okay, is there any other consideration for the letter as written?
No, sir.
No other modifications?
Are we touching on the sidewalks now, or?
No, we'll have to wait till the bridge does that, then we'll go for that.
Okay.
She's trying to get them interested first. We're trying to get them to come look at it.
Okay.
Do you need a motion on this?
Yes, please.
Okay, we need a motion to send a letter through all these people.
I'll make a motion to send a letter to the recipients listed for the North Seton Avenue Bridge replacement request.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, second by Commissioner O'Donnell.
And that is as modified, correct?
Yes, just switching the quality of life with image. Just switch those two around.
Yes.
And then, can you send one to the governor too?
Again,
We kind of wanted to start here before we jumped over everybody's head, not
Okay.
alienate our locals and see what they can do, and then move above through State Highway and through MDOT.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. 5-0. Alrighty, we need to set the agenda for the next town meeting, October 7th.
Swearing in.
I have lots, and I apologize. But we do have quite a bit of things to get through in October. First off is correct swearing in of new commissioners by Mayor Briggs. Then for consideration, the mayor's recommendations for reorganization of the Board of Commissioners. For consideration, approval of a Potomac Edison right-of-way at the wastewater treatment plant. And just a little background, it's just for them to place a piece of equipment, for them to have access to it. Where am I at? Approval of the community park disc golf course design for consideration. One item for admin business would be the bridge project update by State Highway. For consideration, approval of legal services bid, excuse me.
Is this because ours is retiring?
Yes. where's it at? Okay. Approval of the MS4 impervious restoration 5-year work plan for consideration.
What is that?
Your stormwater MS4 permit, your multiple sewers, so basically your stormwater. This is due to MDE by October 31st.
That's for consideration.
Yes, for consideration. And then 1, 2, 3. What am I missing? I'm missing one. Approval of resolution 19-03R, which is the Maryland State Archives record retention schedule.
Is there a reason we're coming back to that, may I ask?
Because it was never approved, because you approved the initial schedule.
Right.
It was sent to the Maryland State Archives. They had some comments about what we proposed, and then John Clapp says it needs to be adopted via resolution. So we've made some changes to what you saw initially, not some major changes, minor changes, and then it needs to be adopted through a resolution.
And this will still allow us to clear up space in the office, so to speak? And
Yes.
We're still on.
Staff is ready to get cleaning.
Ms. Shaw had a fan club at MML from the vendor, and I just wanted to
Right.
make sure they're running. Okay.
So we have 8.
Yes,
Busy agenda.
Okay, is there any administrative business?
just the state highway project, bridge project update.
Thought we had that on there.
I was
I
going to
thought you
bring
had
up.
that as number 5.
That would be admin. I threw it in the middle of it. I apologize.
So
Just
we
when
have
you-
7.
Mr. Sweeney, I was hoping to bring up volunteer trail work days for administrative business for approval or for consideration for approval.
Tier trail work days?
Yes. For the fall, for the late fall.
Okay.
So you would have 7 agenda items and 2 admin.
That's a full plate. I have a question though. Were we going to be talking about solar fields in October?
Maybe
We
October,
had them
November.
slated to come in October or November. With
November's probably better.
right, unfortunately, with the things, I really can't move any of this stuff. I'd like to
Let's
get
do
it
it
done
for
in
November.
October.
Do you need a
November's
sec-
looking good for that then, probably.
Do you need? You want to do it in November, or you want to have a second meeting? I know you don't want to have a second meeting. We used to have them all. The time.
I know we did.
It's up to
What
you.
we would check would be his
It'd be just on
availability.
solar. And
for
if we
the
do have
solar.
a second meeting, it would just be solar.
Well, we can check his availability.
Anybody else
mean,
got
Put it in
anything?
October and add. I mean, that's
It makes sense to me not doing it on the 7th, only because,
So much other stuff.
yeah, that's
So
well,
let's
the
do
bridge
it.
up project update. I just got word on that today. That was something that we weren't planning to add to the agenda.
Can we have an update on that at every meeting now? Can you call them through that month for the next month and keep us updated on it? Make sure maybe keep pressure on them. To
I
keep
think if
going.
you ask them when I think if you ask them when they come to the October meeting, they'll probably be more than willing to do it.
Oh, okay. That's when you should have some more residents here. When they're actually here, you can ask them why they're doing all this. Why they're,
Why is this?
You know.
It's a show.
You can ask them questions because they can answer them. We can't because
Yes.
we don't have
Encourage
anything
people to
there.
come if they want. So we need a motion.
So the first agenda item will be the
Swearing in.
swearing in of the new commissioners. The second will be reorganization of the board.
Yes.
Third will be Potomac Edison,
Yes.
right away.
Right.
Fourth will be community park golf disc design. Fifth will be the legal services for a new attorney.
Yes.
Six will be MS4, 5-year.
Bless you. 19
And 7 will be 19-032 Maryland State Archives.
Yes.
Okay. And the administrative business will be state bridge update and volunteer trail for fall
Yes.
updates or
Dates.
dates.
Just trying to schedule some volunteer days
Okay.
for leaf blowing the trails.
Okay, you need a motion to accept the agenda as presented? or-
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Blanchard. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
Kathy, can we post on the website? I know I have a copy of what the state mandated for the backflow preventer. Could we just post it up there?
It's there.
Oh, it's already there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's under the EPA manual. So the MDE mandate refers to the EPA manual on backflow preventers. It was adopted in 1975. It's on the website.
Is there a link?
Yes.
Okay.
The language is,
Well, it's legal language.
it's legal language.
Yes.
It takes a while to disseminate what it says.
Be interesting to know how many communities in Maryland are doing it.
They all are mandated to do it, and if they haven't done it, they're lucky. They haven't been fined yet. We only found out that we needed to do it through an impromptu MDE inspection at the end of last year. They mandated us to do, I think it was 3 or 4 things, and that was one of them.
Yeah, because what's called already did theirs already.
Yes.
Middletown.
Middletown, yes. Frederick City.
Frederick City's done theirs already. Okay, I need a motion made to close the September 3rd town meeting
I make a motion to close.
Wait a
the
minute.
Sorry?
for executive session to consult with staff, consultants, and/or other individuals about pending or potential litigation regarding collection of a debt as permitted by the general provisions, Article Section 3-305B, Item 8.
If you hand me the letter, I'll use that language.
And if we may, upon that motion, we have a 5-minute recess. So I have some handouts.
That's awesome. Okay.
Just wait a
I
second.
make a motion to close the September 3rd, 2019 town meeting at 10:51. Is that correct?
9:50.
9:51. Oh, thank goodness. My angle's bad. Sorry. Okay. I make a motion to close the September 3rd, 2019 town meeting at 9:51 for a closed executive session to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation regarding collection of a debt as permitted by the general provisions, Article Section 3-305, Section B, Item 8.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Blanchard. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries.
Everyone has to
We
leave.
will have a 5-minute recess before we start the closed session.
Denny, you
And
have a
it's-
question?
And then everyone has to leave, and we have to put signs up also.
Correct.
Denny has a question real quick.
I only had one, I had 2 little comments. One was, I did speak out as far as the town staff. These guys, I don't know who the clerk was that took my call, but they helped me find out what, they actually called me back, and they met, I think it was,
It was Miss Ray. It was Terry.
Terry.
okay, and then I think Dan was met with the town manager, and those guys came up with answered the question for me. Okay, so I want to make sure that they know that I appreciate that.
You caught Dan in the middle of 4 water leaks. So that was a bad day for him as well. So
And the only other thing, you know, that I would like to say is, this is a big thing to manage. What are we going to hear about costs incurred down the road to track all this? Send out notices. Who you did it this time 10 years ago? You're up for. It's going to get. I mean, I know computers are great and all, but somebody has to manage that whole.
Right, and this is all new. This is all just created because Middletown's, not too many from Frederick County except for Frederick and Middletown has done it yet, correct?
I have to look. I know there's more than Frederick City, Middletown, and ourselves. I mean, I'm telling MDE's popping up with these impromptu inspections. That's the only way
It's
we
going to be
found
for the
out
whole
about it.
Maryland.
Making it too
They're making it,
expensive to
yeah,
live.
they're making it,
It's another tax. But
yeah, that's what it is.
And I don't really appreciate it, and I think it's done wrong. And I think a copy of the, like I said.
Writing your senator would be a good idea.
No, a copy of this mandate from the state should have been sent out. I don't care that it's on a website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We certainly made sure that we know that we have to have it done.
yeah.
It went out in the quarterly water billing newsletter that everybody gets in town. Obviously, it's a 32, I think it's 32-page manual. We couldn't include that in the water bill, so.
Danny.
Okay.
She shouldn't be talking like that. She's talking down to you folks. You put up with this stuff. You're sorry. You're wrong, Ms. Willis, for doing that. We pay you, the citizens of this town.
All right, all right.